Hello, welcome back. And in the last video, you guys seen us dig out this truck that's been sitting for about 6 months, bring it to the shop, get the coilovers installed on it. Unfortunately, since that video, I had to do some minor adjustments with the height of this truck. So right now, we are back at the height that I built it at. In the last video, we lowered it down about 4 inches. When I started looking into the rear of the truck and lowering the rear down, I ran into the problem that the top arm was hitting the fuel tank. So I was left with no option but to lift the front of it back up and put it back to how I built it, because usually with these control arms and stuff, you can get a lot of lift height out of them. And it'd be no problem to lower everything if we didn't have that fuel tank in the way. When it's completely done at this height, we might change the fuel tank, which will allow us to lower the truck about 4 to 6 inches. For now, we have it back at this height. And I actually found the overlays that I thought I lost that were nowhere to be found for the last 6 months. So we can throw those on. The spring should be here, I think, tomorrow for the rear of the truck. Then we can get the rear on coilovers. We can build the front sway bar for it once it's down on its own weight. Measure for drive shafts, brake lines. And then that means we can take our first drive with this truck. So right now, I'll throw these overlays all on it. I think I have all the screws here for them. Then once those are on, we'll be able to get the rear coilovers on it. And I cannot wait to see how this truck sits with all the shocks on it, because it's been on the dummy shocks for like a long time now. And once you get the coilovers onto a build, it all starts coming together. Then the dream of having a big truck turns into reality, because then you can finish up all the small stuff to actually make it drive. So these on really quick and see how this thing looks with all of these faceplates on it and complete, because like I said, right now, these are off. Oh, that inside one's on. This outer one's on, but we're still missing like all of them. So I started getting all the overlays on. I got the upper crossmember ones on there just hanging. I wanted to just kind of see how they're gonna look on the truck. And that looks very good with the overlay on the truck right now. But once we have the actual part itself powder coated, and then this part powder coated in accent color. My big truck, there's a lot of blue, touching blue, which looks awesome. But with this one, we're still trying to decide what colors we want to go with for it. So drop a comment below. Let me know which color you guys think would look good with this truck. I'm going to get this box opened up because we got coil springs for the rear of the truck. And that means we can now put the rear coilovers on the truck and get this truck to sit how it needs to sit at ride height. And then I can measure for drive shafts, brake lines, and I'll be one step closer to driving this truck. I think the only thing that's gonna hold us up a little bit longer is getting a drive shaft made, because we do need to get, I think, a 5-inch aluminum drive shaft made for the truck, because I think it's too long to run a steel shaft in it for now. And then we also gotta figure out how we're gonna clock this transfer case. I'll probably have to take out this cross member right here, build a custom one that comes out, drops down. That way we can run the front drive shaft on it. I've never really put front drive shafts back inside my builds. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but I've came to my senses to where now every build I do needs the front drive shaft done inside of it. Now we're gonna work on getting the coilovers on the back of it. We have to lift it up with the excavator, which should have no problem lifting it up. If not, the Bobcat will have to lift it up, but I think the excavator has it, so we're gonna try that first. Lift up the truck and then take the dummy shocks off, put the coilovers on it, then lower it back down. And hopefully this truck sits how I want it to. I bought a softer spring for the coilovers. That way it doesn't ride like a brick in the rear. Let's get in the excavator, try to lift this up and see how that goes. So the excavator's weak, and it won't pick up the truck, so we gotta swap out for the Bobcat. Look at it. The excavator will not lift it. Yeah, well, this thing will not pick up that truck, so we gotta swap it out for the Bobcat, like I was just saying. I thought for sure this old John Deere had it, but it just did not want to lift it at all. So I'm pretty sure I've lifted up trucks with this Bobcat once before, but we're gonna find out today, because John Deere's not here, it's on a job, and we gotta see if the old white one will lift it. I don't know if it will, but it should. So yeah, let's just pray this one doesn't flip forward on us. You know what you're doing?
No. Kinda. No.
Take a brand new, like just off the lot John Deere Mini, try to lift the truck and it won't do it, versus this 1922 Bobcat S3000 or S300. Oh, I know what it is. This one has a turbo on it. That's why I lifted it so easy. Yeah, the John Deere needs a turbo. Do you know how to run one of those things? No? Should be able to. Rear shocks are installed and everything lines up perfectly. I still have to adjust the angle of the axle. That way that pinion's not sitting like that. So I'll have to tilt the axle back a little bit, and then that will give us a pretty decent angle for the drive shaft to fit inside of this truck. And then once we get measured for the drive shaft, we'll be able to drive this truck for the first time because I have everything else already done besides the drive shaft to drive this truck. I have all the sway bar stuff. I have the sway bar blocks, sway bar tube, the sway bar arms, all the heim joints for the links. I already have the drag link made for the front of the truck to get it to drive. I have to call on Monday though and see how far out they are on the drive shaft. Then once that's done, we can work on getting the tires here, getting them mounted on the wheels, which you guys haven't seen yet. And once all of that's complete, I'll be able to take it on its first test drive, finalize everything on the whole entire truck. Once I have it driving perfect, I'll be able to take the whole truck apart, powder coat everything, paint the truck, maybe do some go fast parts to the engine, get a new exhaust on here because this exhaust is non-existent and it's missing now. Where that exhaust went, I don't know. Actually, no. I'm pretty sure Ashton took it for his old black Megacab back when we did all that stuff on that truck. So this truck no longer has the exhaust on it, but we'll grab one of those. So now I'm gonna work on getting the front sway bar done on it, get all those welded up to the blocks, try to get the measurements today for the front links and the bottom tabs I have to design yet still and cut out really quick. But once all that's done, front end will be complete. Rear end's already done besides aligning the rear axle. And yeah, this thing is like this far away from driving. I think I have to go grab a set of brake pads because yeah, these brake pads on this side are missing. But once the truck comes all apart, obviously I'll buy brand new pads, rotors, calipers, all the fun stuff. That way it's perfect, everything's brand new, and this truck will drive amazing when it's done. So in order to make this sway bar work on the truck, I had to order some brackets that will bolt onto the frame right here. I'll be able to take that bracket once it's on the frame, it'll sit like that. And I'm gonna weld this bracket right to it. So then when we mount this up inside here, our sway bar will bolt to that. You guys may be wondering why I'm running a bracket on this. And for one is so I can easily remove this. And for two, because I want to keep this gearbox brace on it, because that'll definitely help with the steering on this truck and just tighten up the gearbox overall. Some people don't believe inside those gearbox braces. Me personally, I do, because on a second gen, they make the world of a difference. And I've seen gearboxes snap off of trucks, like rip out of the frame. And we definitely don't want that to happen on this truck, especially with being this high inside the air. That would not be a good day if Dodge's shitty gearbox snapped off the frame. Now I'm gonna get into welding up billet blocks onto the sway bar drop brackets that I bought. Then I'll be able to mock up that onto the frame. They'll be able to weld our arms onto it, make a bracket down there for the sway bar link to hook to at the axle, which will be a lot easier than my big trucks. Then once all that's done, I got a bar right here already bent for the steering, bends around it just like we did on my big truck. And then the front of the truck will be complete. I think we still have to order the shock that goes right here, but we can still drive the truck without that shock on because I don't know how far rad flow is out on the shocks now, but we want to do rad flows on it. That way everything matches shock wise. So time to bust out the welder and get those tabs welded onto the sway bar drop and get the sway bar onto this truck. And just like that, I got the billet blocks welded onto the sway bar drops. That turned out very good. I got the bar centered already. I still have to weld on these stops. I'm going to wait to do that until I get the actual arms welded onto the truck. That way I can just check again. Make sure that it is all centered once that's done. I went ahead and took the drag link, got that mocked up on here. Right now we have to drill out this pitman arm to 3/4. That way the bolt for the heim joint slides right into that. And then once that's on, this truck will have steering because when I took it out of the shop, it didn't have steering and it was a pain in the ass getting on the trailer. I had to use a dummy shock and like put it inside the wheel right there. That way I can use it for like a pry bar to turn the wheel. But now the truck will be able to steer with the steering wheel how it should, and it'll be a lot easier to move it around. So I'm gonna drill out that pitman arm and then slap that on. And then after 7 months, we'll finally have steering back on this truck. We just got this hole right here drilled out to 3/4, which now we can slide our bolt right through there nice and tight. We can put this alignments into this bar like this. We get our drag link onto the truck for the first time. And now we can see the angle of the steering, which the angle is pretty good in my opinion. Thankfully, we went out and had this high steer arm custom machined out of chromoly, which raises it about 4 inches higher than normal. So on my big truck, the plate comes off of this right here flat. But on this one, I had that made to where it extends it 4 inches. That way the heim joints don't bind up. And on the big truck, right now the heim joint's like maxed out, but we have one of these bars that are going on that truck. Make it to where the heim joint doesn't bind up on that, and that truck will drive a lot better once we get to that. So now that the front end's all done, I'm going to move on to aligning that rear axle really quick, getting that pinion set. Then we'll grab a measurement for the drive shaft, and we're like right there, like I was just saying, into driving this truck. The rear axle tilted back, aligned, had to lengthen the top arms, and now I'll be able to get the drive shaft slid into the trans, get the measurement for that. Call on Monday, order the drive shaft, and I have to find the slip yoke first for the trans. It's laying into the bed. I slid it into the transmission. That measurement for the drive shaft is literally 88.5 inches, so we'll definitely be going the route with the 5-inch aluminum one. But this truck hasn't started in probably a year since I put it inside the shop to start doing the lift. It has not ran one time since. So the batteries are definitely dead. I have to find the key for it. Gotta get the jump pack on it, and then hopefully it starts, because I like to hear it run. Now we can only hope that this thing charges this truck and we get this thing to start up. Steering wheel is actually weird being hooked up. Yep, she's still dead. She's got to get some more juice to her. Oh, if I put it on 24 volts, that'll start it, because technically it's still a 24 volt. Yeah, so this thing's been charging for like 2 hours now. I think these batteries are definitely shot, because I have sat through 2 winters not getting charged. So we'll have to grab new batteries for it, get the new batteries thrown in it, and then she will run. And hopefully in the next video, you guys are seeing this thing drive down the road. But with that being said, that's going to end today's video. We have a lot of work to get done to this. We have a lot of work on my big truck to get done, and my Megacab as well. We have a lot of stuff in the works for that truck. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.